Hello everyone, welcome back to another character breakdown. Today we're diving deep and taking a closer look at one of the most effective but simple playstyles in Mortal Kombat 1, Kung Lao. The first thing that I wanted to start with is neutral. I wanted to talk about Kung Lao's neutral and what buttons are really strong for Kung Lao in the neutral itself. Kung Lao is able to throw a hat, make it a high. He can also change the direction of it as well. He can go low with it, or he can go high. Either way, it's still going to be a mid, which is really strong to catch an anti-airing jumping opponent, or just if the opponent is ducking. The reason why they may be ducking in the neutral against the hat is because he also has another move where he can do this, which is a high. This allows him to get a little more oaky. As you can tell, the hit advantage is 36 with a knockdown. This one in particular does not knock down, but this one will always knock down. This is really strong because in certain cases, further away, you're able to jump in, especially closing the gap against a certain character that is zoning you out. So if you do initially get that hit, you're able to do actually a dive kick and still be safe. That allows you to get even closer to your opponent to establish that dominance that you have that makes Kung Lao really strong. Also too, another thing that kind of makes Kung Lao very strong is his down 4. His down 4 and his down 3 are very, very good, regardless of what they are on block, but I do believe they are plus. Let me see. This one is really strong in my opinion, just because of the spacing it has. This allows him to be able to play in a way where he can be very annoying. He does have a sweep that he can play off of that is +3, which I was referring to as well. This is really good for catching your opponent if they are neutral ducking, or just establishing that plus frames off of your opponent. This can allow you to play in a range where you will always have the advantage of your opponent, especially since it has a little bit of pushback on it. This allows you to react to your opponent if they do jump backwards, try to wake up armor, so on and so forth. These things are really strong, or this itself is really strong to play against your opponent with. I know a couple players that like to play off of his sweep. His down 3 are also really good as well because they have a lot more pushback. So you can, even though it is -6, you still have enough time to react to your opponent. But the sweep is more better because you have 3+ frames that you can have the advantage over your opponent. So backing up and they coming forward, you'll have more time to actually react to it. In my opinion, this is also a good stagger, which is another good neutral tool. You can actually use this to establish a type of game plan, because most of the time when you see this, you follow up with this move as well. So just using this as a stagger is really strong. It can catch your opponent off guard, especially when you start staggering these moves as well. But that's about it. So now I wanted to talk about combos with Kung Lao. Kung Lao's combos are essentially going to be very basic. There's nothing special about his combos except for a few that I will be showing you guys. Second. So mid screen, your combos are going to essentially look like this off of your 2-1-2 string, and they're all going to do 38%. This is really good because this is one bar on almost 40%, which essentially is going to lead into more chip and you being able to use this string in particular that we're going to go over. When you use your overhead, you're only guaranteed this right here. This essentially will give you about 28%, but in the corner, you are guaranteed just a little more in the corner as well. So now you can do things like this, which is 33% as well. Really strong combo. Now again, let's go back to mid screen. Now mid screen, if you do get a punish off of something in particular, you can actually punish with this. Show me. This one is a little more tricky, but you still get 38%. But this one is meterless, and you don't have to spend a bar to get 38% like all the other combos. So again, this one is really helpful. That's essentially what's going to happen when you get your combos, usually off of this string, or over your overhead. If you do decide to use this string to get a combo, your combo routes are going to be a little more different, just because you don't want to drop it. So you'll be getting about 32% off of that. I'm pretty sure there's more optimal routes with this character as far as in using this string in particular. I'm not sure if I trust it. Yeah, see, I would go with the other string as well. In the corner, you get a little more creative with your combos. But before we get into that, I wanted to show you one last combo. You can also do something like this. Just for style purposes, you are not getting enough damage as you would off of this. Like if you were to just do the string that I showed you before, you actually get a little more damage off of this, which is 38%. But for whatever reason, you can do combos like this. This could be essentially really good if you're using a cameo that can complement you in a certain way in particular to combo into for style purposes as well. But anyway, that's another combo that you can do. And in the corner with your combos, you can be a little more creative. You can use this string. This is all meterless. That is 43%. So you can also use that if you want to. You can spin a bar. Then you can go straight into this if you want, which essentially is a little more. You can also use this in a way where you can get a little more guaranteed Oki where they can't wake up. This is really strong as well. So learn how to utilize this move in particular. You can end with this as well. You still get Oki, or you can end with something in particular that allows you to get the corner back. If you were to be in the corner, you can just end a grab like this and put them in the corner as well, depending on your combo. So if I were to do something like this, I can put essentially back in the corner, get a little Oki, and then continue pressuring him off of jumping. Where if I don't feel like I get Oki, especially off of my grab, I can use a cameo that allows me to get free Oki. And what you just saw is free Oki. Again, essentially in the corner, you can do a lot of more cooler things. You can also even spin a bar. Make sure I do this correctly for you guys. This one is a little more tricky timing, but I promise, like I showed you, you can still get that combo off, which is 42% one bar. So you're most likely going to be able to get one bar. Most of the time, people are going to be blocking. The string or this combo itself is really good if your opponent is trying to wake up and you punish their wake up. You don't have to spin a bar, as you can tell. All right, let's talk about the defense of Kung Lao. Kung Lao's defense is a little trash in my opinion, but at the same time, it's good. And the only reason I say it's good is because you don't see a lot of people utilizing it, but I feel like it's strong. But on the other hand, a lot of people who play Kung Lao don't utilize it. So I don't know if it is strong, but I know me as a player, I feel like it's strong. But anyway, it's this move in particular. Probably because people get a lot of input errors when you do this move. It's a little tricky to do consistently, as you can tell. Like, you know, I'm okay at doing it, but like sometimes you might get that input error like right there doing it. And the only thing that I do say that is pretty good is that when you amplify it, you have a little more. You can move around a lot faster. See how fast I move back and forth. In my opinion, I think this is really good for closing the space on your opponent if they are zoning you. You could do things like this in particular. Not a lot of people are talking about this team in particular, just because you can actually take the hit with this team, and you can keep going. Things like that are very strong. Anyway, I think it's really good for that reason, and it also has multiple hits off armor, unlike a couple characters in this game, like Astra. Another thing too is that this move now sucks is because they changed it. It used to be safe, like you used to be able to make this safe, and it was -5. I mean, it was -5, but now it's like even more negative, which is -15. That's just my opinion for the move itself. If you have a cameo that can complement it to make yourself safe, you can do such, which always will be Goro. In my opinion, I think Goro is probably the better cameo for him as far as in like wanting to be able to wake up, because he is negative, and I feel like he doesn't have a fast armor, and since he doesn't have fast armor, it's easy to break his armor. And then on top of that, a lot of times what you would want to do as a Kung Lao player, since he doesn't have fast armor, you kind of wanted to armor through strings that have gaps in particular, rather than waking up armor, because it is 19 frames. And then on top of that, it is negative. So it's more high risk, no reward, in my opinion. And on top of that, Goro allows you to wake up, but then also not only wake up safely, but also take your turn if timed correctly. So that's just my opinion about the move. You can also do things like this. This will also make you safe. And then you can take your turn back however you feel. This is also really strong for his mix-up games and so on and so forth that we will also touch as well. But again, just to make sure, let everyone know that his reversals are trying to trash, in my opinion, and they're not as quick as you think they are. So a lot of times Kung Laos like to armor. So since he can't armor, his defense is kind of trash, in my opinion. Also wanted to talk about frame traps, which essentially this is a frame trap. And the only reason I believe this is a frame trap is because your opponent cannot jump out of this. Let's test this out really quick. They block everything. Good. Yep, this is a frame trap. So basically what a frame trap kind of is that they don't necessarily combo, but they really can't press here. And all this is to bait your opponent into thinking that they can press. And by the time that they do press, you're using something that has a little bit of armor on it and blowing them up for it. So then you can do things like this. And then you can get a combo and so on and so forth. This is really, really strong. And I recommend that you learn how to utilize this. You can even do things like that too as well. Let me take this off so we can see the real. Here, okay. So by the time that he's able to actually try to jump out of the combo, he's getting hit. And then I can call cameo and combo off of it and so on and so forth. This is really strong because either way, if they do block it, I'll still be able to call my cameo here to come in and take the hit for me. And it will jail. And I also keep my turn as well. This is something that's also a frame trap, but then I also wanted to touch on something like forbidden string. The only forbidden string I think he has is probably 4. The string right here is really hard to utilize and understand, but I'm going to help you guys understand how you can utilize this string. And for this example, I'm going to be using Sector to kind of complement this idea that I'm trying to place in you guys here when it comes to forbidden strings, but also how to utilize it when you do actually get the hit with this move in particular and type of mind games that you can play. What you could do, right, is because I'm going to set the AI to actually wake up. I believe he's going to wake up. Sure that he does wake up. Put it on get up mode. I'm going to put it on this one. Where is it? Mini. Where is it? Right here. Okay, so this right here is my armor wake up. What you can do with this string in particular, do things like this, and you can jump over it. But what if your opponent doesn't jump? You can make it safe that way. So essentially, let's say I did a combo. Hold on. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Here we go. And then I can combo off of that because by the time that they try to press, or if they just try to delay wake up into buttons, try it one time. Oh shoot! I'm so sorry, guys. And then I can rinse and repeat and do the exact same thing. And we call that GG. And I can break his armor that way as well. So these are certain ways that you can utilize the cameo that complement it in this way. There's something I just thought of right then and there because I was trying to figure out what you could use to utilize this move. It does have a stun when they do essentially get hit by it, and you can combo off of it, and you know, you can get some pretty good damage off of this. And this is, like I said, this is all one bar, so this stuff right here is pretty good, and you can start going for more mix and so on and so forth. That stuff is really strong. I would recommend learning how to utilize these things. You also can even do something like this, like you can knock them to the ground, and then you can do that to bait them and punish them for that reason as well. I think this move is really good for like baiting your opponent, and you can kind of like, you know, create mind games off of it. If your opponent wanted to armor, you can do things like that. So if I have like something coming, I can complement it in that way as well. There's a lot more cool things that you can do with Kung Lao's cancel and different cameos that he has. Stay tuned to my stream. Sometimes I will show you different teams in particular and play them in Kombat League at the highest level and show you how to utilize teams in particular. One little cool trick that you can do with Kung Lao that most people know about but don't utilize it as much is that you can actually use your dive kick to make yourself safe or bait a down two against your opponent. If your opponent wants to down two you here, they most likely can. But if you learn how to dive kick at the highest point, they most likely won't be able to uppercut you, and then by the time that they uppercut and it whiff, you will actually get a punish off of it. And this is kind of hard to replicate by myself, but I'm gonna try my best to do such. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the AI to be down 2 after. Let me see something, because this is gonna be pretty tough to show you guys by myself. Okay, let's see. See, there we go. I can actually use this to bait my opponent. I can even do this and get a punish that way if I want to capitalize off the damage, and I feel like my opponent's going to get opened up by this. This is really strong. Hold on. See how I got hit right there? Trying to get a punish. Hold on. Oh, I don't even have to spin a bar. Hold on. Oh. Oh, I'm gonna get it. Oh no. No, I'm gonna get it. No. You could do something like that. I just thought about that. That'd be pretty cool too. Again, you can utilize this dive kick kind of to bait your opponent to trying to down 2 and stuff like that, because a lot of times what happens is take him off of down 2 so he doesn't do it. I don't think he's going down 2. Okay, he's still going down 2. Fine. Whatever. All right, so what happens is, right, you can do this and you can kind of use it as pressure. If you are utilizing this cameo, like if you are using this game, you can use this for pressure like that. So like, and they can anti you and you continue your pressure. The reason why jump ins are very strong is because your opponent has to guess. Once you get that initial hit with the jump kick, when I hit him, I don't know why he's not getting hit by it, but I can initially, like, I'm so plus, as you can tell, +7, +12. So a lot of times people don't want to deal with this because this is a lot of plus frames where I can strike throw you or create a lot of mind games that you have to deal with, that you cannot necessarily shimmy or kind of fuzzy guard or OS because of how plus it is. And since I'm so plus that I can use shimmy strings, I can use auto strings, I can do a whole bunch of things in particular that puts me at the advantage. So it kind of works the same when you start understanding. I can strike throw you right off of that if I really need it to, and that's really strong. And it's really hard to kind of OS that one just because of how low I am and how plus I am. Also, dive kick is really strong. It's kind of like Natara's dive kick as well. And the reason why it's so strong is because if you look at recovery, it's at 9 frames. So it's really hard to actually punish this, especially when you amplify it. It's still -9, but the reason why it looks really hard to actually punish. What you can do is kind of preemptively wait for it if you think he's going to dive kick, and you kind of can just trip guard him, or you can catch him at the frame 1 of him about to land, and you can actually hit him out of the air and get a full combo depending on what cameo you're using and utilizing. This is also very strong to get in on your opponent. So utilize dive kick as much as you can, but also learn how to use it to your advantage, like baiting your opponent as well. Kung Lao is also a very unique character next to Liu Kang. they have similar things in particular about them, which they have a 6-frame move that can actually punish anything that is -7 or higher. The reason why I picked this character essentially was to show you guys this. This string right here with Ermac is -7. I'm going to show you that you can actually punish this string as Kung Lao. So all those other characters that have to hold this, Kung Lao is one of the few characters next to Kung Lao that does not have to hold this. He can also even get this meterless with Goro. Essentially, you guys know this. I don't need to go get Goro, but you guys know this who played Goro. I can actually get a whole combo off of that, and that itself is really dope as well. Now, I wanted to talk about the pros to playing Kung Lao. The reason why I love Kung Lao is because first of all, his damage output is really strong where it needs to be. And then on top of that, he complements me in ways that I like to play. So again, his pros will always be around something as far as in like shimmying. This string is really good for shimmying. And then on top of that, it's also +3. This move is +1. This right here is +3. And this string right here creates a little more pushback, just enough for you to understand if your opponent wants to press a button, you can challenge them with a down 1, down 3, and you can even armor sometimes. This is really strong for Kung Lao. This is the range that Kung Lao wants to play in. Kung Lao does really well in this range, in my opinion, because it gives him enough time to dash up and create mind games off of his 2-1. You don't want to play off of this range with your projectiles because they are punishable up close. So learn how to utilize his projectiles and learn how to use his staggers to your advantage. And what I mean by that is learning how to play in a way where it complements you. So if you like to shimmy your opponent and you're really good at creating mind games off of shimmying, utilize 2-1 really strong. And then once you start utilizing his low overhead mix or his low mid overhead mix, you can start staggering this, going to plus frames, and start taking your turn back, or essentially stealing turns, because your opponent is trying to react to things in particular, like this move and so on and so forth. And since it has a gap, you can bait your opponent into thinking that you can armor. So there's so many different mind games that you can play with Kung Lao once you establish this type of play style. You can't assume that everyone that you play will understand that's exactly what you want to do, and you're going to get that type of respect. Respect is earned even in video games. So learn how to utilize and learn how to create mind games early on in the set itself. Kung Lao's 50-50. Kung Lao's 50-50s are really strong. This right here keeps you negative. So once, like when you do the overhit, there's nothing that you can necessarily do that can keep you safe. You can actually blow him up for this, and I'm going to show you really quick. Kung Lao was to do something like this, you can actually punish him before he actually goes up in the air, and you can get a full combo off of it. And it doesn't matter what string he does. If he does something like this, you can actually punish him as well. Hold on. Correctly. This right here, even that has a gap. And you can get a whole punish off of that. The only thing that you can do is learn how to, remember I was talking about creating mind games and layers and baiting your opponent. What you can do sometimes is that you can do something like this that will actually open up your opponent, believe it or not. And you can actually even utilize Goro to your advantage to make it make more sense. And I'm going to show you really quick. You can do things like this that will open your opponent up. Now, I'm going to show you. See how I got hit by there? If I do it correctly, I should be able to call it cameo. See? And I can get a whole combo off of that as well. So like, boom, I'm looking for it. Can't break it. And I die basically for it. I could do something like that, but I'll still be blown up for it. And I can't duck it because it is a mid. Yeah, I got blown up for it. So just think about how to utilize it, and you can blow up your opponent for it as well. This is very strong. The cons about Lao, in my opinion, is that this is negative, so he has to be very careful on how he wants to utilize his projectiles up close. Also, another thing is that this string right here, even though it is -6, and this one right here is also -6 as well, you can actually even take your turn back against this character depending on the range or where he does this string. If he does this string from this range, you can actually back up and actually go into more strings if he wants to armor, or essentially duck into buttons or press down 1. You can actually blow him up so many different ways. So it behooves you as a Kung Lao player to take your turn back or steal your turn back when you do these overhead low strings. Be careful in certain situations if you're playing against someone who's really good. What happens is a lot of times you can actually down one and then you can go back into buttons if you're playing someone who doesn't understand frames or who just doesn't understand the game itself. So you can abuse them that way. You can even stagger this and back up because it is really good. You can even use this to whip punish your opponent as well. Show you this really quick. So if I were to do like a stand one and like back up, I can actually punish my opponent. There it is, I'm sorry. I can actually punish my opponent. And I can even react to my opponent pressing as well. There it is. I can even use this move to whip punish my opponent. This is really strong as well. I can even use my overhead if I do it correctly. I can do that as well. That is really strong. And like I said, this is meterless, which is also essentially really good for you. So learning how to whip punish it is really strong. These are going to be your whip punisher strings. You have a good overhead, you have back three, and you also have this as a mid. This is really strong for stagger games. So if your opponent does mash, you can actually punish them. So learn how to utilize it and you'll have a lot more fun with Kung Lao. In my opinion, Kung Lao has everything he needs in order to play against every matchup. The only thing that I can say, there's two things in my opinion that I think are cons to this character that really sucks, is that this character armor has changed. And then on top of that, I also believe that he has one of the worst walk speeds in the game. And this hinders him from getting close to his opponent, but also allows you to be able to outspace this opponent if he does feel like he's oppressive up close. So again, his walk speed, not being able to get in, and the fact that they changed his armor now with the new patch, I think this hinders him. Not saying it's a bad change, not saying it's a good change. I'm just saying these are things that was hindering him from being a really, really strong character. I always thought Kung Lao was always a very strong character, but those in particular is what's holding this character back. But in my opinion, I still think this character is S tier and he has every purpose and every reason to be up there. Anyway, it's your boy Jay-Z Bottom Lip, and this is a video I made about Kung Lao. Hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions, let me know below. It's your boy Jay-Z Bottom Lip. I'm out.